Okay, Becky, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on. This is great talking to you, so thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely, yes. So like the first thing I wanted to ask you is your book is coming out, and when did you start writing things down, and what made you want to write a book and show wrestling fans like personal side of you?
Gosh, I suppose coming into the business, I always want to write a book. I always want to write my biography. My dad like beat it into my head when I was like 5 that I should write. I should just write. Like he was a big writer. He was always into like writing things down, writing down your memories, writing down your stories. And then when I got into wrestling, the person I related to most was Mick Foley, and he wrote a biography and wrote a fantastic biography, and he wrote it by himself. And so when I was coming up and through my journey, I looked at everything like it was a biography. Like what's going to go into the biography eventually when I do write it. So it was never a question of whether I would write a book. It was when I would write a book and how it would look. And how it looks is not necessarily how I imagined it would look, but I'm so proud of it. I think it is the piece of work that I've done in my career that I'm most proud of. Because just I put my heart and soul into it. And and I think it doesn't suck. I think it's pretty damn good. Yeah.
Yes, definitely is.
Thank you.
And one of the things I read in your book is you used to be a big girl and you got teased and bullied about it, and that's something that I could relate to because I always get teased for my speech stuttering, and from a kid to this day, like I'm always getting teased about my speech, about my stuttering. So how did you overcome the bullying and the teasing and stop letting it get to you?
Ah, that's the thing, isn't it? Took me many years. And at first it was the chip on my shoulder to it wasn't to accept it, it was to change myself. It was to, okay, well, I'm being teased for they're calling me fat, they're saying I'm overweight, they're making fun of me for that. So how do I be skinny? And that plagued me well into my late 20s, was always trying to fit that mold. And and it took a lot of time to overcome that. And now, thank God, I'm at this point where I'm like, screw you. This is my body. This is me. This is how I look. And obviously I'm not overweight now. Now I get the other thing. Now I get people making fun of me for being too skinny. But it's one of those things where I had my daughter, and I had eating disorders and all these things to try and fit into a mold. I had my daughter and I stopped giving a shit. I
Yeah.
was like, my body is capable of so much more than how it looks, than being arms, than being abs. It's this thing that can create life. So screw you. I don't care how it looks. I enjoy what it does. It entertains you, hopefully, please God, when I go out in the ring. I break my back constantly to do these things that my body has provided me. So I stopped looking at things in terms of aesthetic, and started looking at it in terms of purpose and what it can do. And uh and I think that that can be applied to anything. And I think we make the mistake of trying to change ourselves
Mhm.
to silence those doubters, as opposed to embracing those things that make us different, and making them doubters and them haters hate themselves because we succeed regardless. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because there's
definitely.
always, and that's the thing, there's always going to be those haters that just they throw anything at you, anything that they can tear you down for, they will. And it's a sad world that we live in, because that negativity gets it gets precedent, right?
Oh, it does.
Um in in social media, the negativity is what gets the microphone.
Hmm.
Screw that noise, man. Like we are adults. We are human beings having this experience where we get to be alive in Earth, and and people are wasting it throwing insults at you. What is wrong with you? Come
I
on,
know,
like go out there and live your life, climb a mountain. You know, don't be throwing shade at people that you've never met for
right?
absolutely no reason other than being mean. And it just goes to show you, like, we think that we've left bullies in the playground, man. Like that is the
Oh,
thing. I think that's the saddest thing is that you grow up and when we walk around in real life, we're not having those interactions with people.
hmm,
Like you don't go into a coffee shop and somebody tells you, "Oh my God, why would you wear that? Why would you wear a brown shirt? My God, don't you know brown is so last." You know, like nobody says that. We don't have these interactions. But you go online and you think that is what humanity is, and it's not. And so I just went on a complete tirade away from the book. But these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts. And so I guess my thoughts are just, hey, be nice to each other, unless it's in a professional wrestling ring.
well, yeah, of
And then be
course.
horrible to each other, like throw the worst insults at each other. But if you're not making money out of it, like what are you doing? You know?
Right,
Suppose the
exactly.
problem is some people make money out of it. God bless. Ugh.
And also in your book, you talk about how that early on the doctor said you had to stop to wrestle because of the the damage in your eye, and but and you also had doubts about going into the ring more, and you didn't let that stop you. You came back, you fought tooth and nail, and now you're on top of the world. You're like you're the greatest woman wrestler, and you're going into Mania to challenge for the belt again. And how does that make you feel that you didn't stop when they wanted you to stop?
Well, the thing was, I did stop, and I stopped more so because of myself, and I got lost. And
Hmm.
we talk about that, like the aesthetic, and you know, I was always trying to chase the aesthetic of how do I look, and if I look a certain way, then I will achieve a certain thing. But also, when I left women's wrestling, wasn't seen in the light that it is now. I say women's wrestling as if it's different from other wrestling, but like women in wrestling wasn't seen the same way as men were, and I wanted to be seen in that same light. And I felt tremendous guilt for many years that I'd left wrestling. This thing that I felt they had a talent for and a knack for, an ability for, and this just and it had given me so much. And so it was many years of of that guilt and those doubts and the wondering and the questions and the what ifs and the feeling like I was meant to do something in this business, that I was meant to change this business, but I didn't know how, and it kind of came about in a chance way. It was from me working as a stunt woman and me applying to get on set to become a someone. And when I went out to the wrestling school, my friend Joe said to me, like, you should go for WWE tryouts. I think you'd get it. And like that was it. And so, but then it was like the gates open. I was like, yes, this is what I meant to do. But the only problem was that when I went into WWE, it was like I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I had no right to be there. Like everybody else looked like $1 million. They were like beautiful, or they were jacked out of the damn mind. They had charisma just coming out of their hairlines, and I was there in a frumpy dress that I had bought from Ross because I didn't know where to buy clothes. I was poor as shit, and just was unbelievably doubtful of my own ability or what the hell I was doing there. And the only thing that really saved my job was, well, several things, was my ability to cut a promo and my ability to put myself out there. And I think I do a lot of that. And also several people like Dusty Rhodes, William Regal, people that saved my job, because they saw something in me. But I think that ability to put myself out there is also allowed me to write a book that I'm quite proud of, because again, I put myself out there
Yeah.
in this book.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really giving you the long-winded answers, I'm
Oh
saying,
no,
yeah.
this is great though. And I'm going off topic with the book a little bit. Like I know you're a huge fan of Pearl Jam. So what's your favorite song of Pearl Jam? I see.
Just random lone picture in the back. Yeah, that doesn't really fit anything. Just I love Pearl Jam. Sorry, what was the question? I just wanted to show you my poster.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I love it. Which your
Thanks.
which your favorite song of them?
It changes constantly. It changes constantly. And I think it changes based on your mood or based on what speaks to you at that moment. And I think that's the great thing about Pearl Jam is their songs are so complex and so deep. And so you might be in a certain place. Like I remember being heartbroken as a teenager, and Black being like
Oh
the
yeah.
soundtrack of my life. And I'm like, why can't it be me? Thank God it wasn't you, you know? And then so right now, Infallible is 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 my favorite song. You
Ah,
know,
sweet.
I think, yeah, it's just such a beautiful song. Because I'm somebody who's, who doubts themselves sometimes and has this unshakable self-belief at other times. And it's this weird juxtaposition that drives me, I think, and that keeps moving me forward. Where it's never being too cocky,
Hmm.
but then sometimes being detrimentally self-deprecating, and so there's that line, by thinking we're infallible, we're tempting fate instead. And I think that a lot when the self-belief gets a little bit too cocky, you got to be like, okay, well, you're not infallible, so anyway.
That's good. And I'm only
And I
gonna
also I think I apply that to Rhea Ripley too, Like currently she's like walking around like she's infallible. I'm like, oh, you're tempting fate. And fate is coming in the disguise of a redheaded devil.
well, yeah, right here in Philly where I live at. I live in Philadelphia, so I'll be there to see you win the belt from Rhea.
Woo woo. Yes, you will. Hell yeah.
And I know you got a lot of other interviews to do, so I'll just ask like one last question. And I always ask my guests this when I had them on the show. As you can see, I'm a horror guy. Is there any horror films that you like to watch?
I hate horror, man. I hate horror. I watched The Exorcist when I was 10 years old. I had to sleep on the floor of my mom's room till I was 12 years old. I hate horror. It scares. I hate it. Like, and I have this thing where I start like, it's this weird reaction when people like tell me any like ghost stories or anything. I get these chills, but my eyes start to water. I'm like, I'm not crying. I don't know. I have this physical reaction to this stuff where my eyes will just start watering. I'm like, what is this? Is this an internal ghost? So yeah, I'm not a huge horror person. I'm not a
Okay.
huge horror person. Like the Poltergeist movies, like scared the crap out of me. And like I can deal with a serial killer. Like I like Halloween. I
Yeah,
can deal with a serial because I feel like I could fight them. I have a chance.
exactly.
But I think it's that growing up Catholic and anything like demonic, it's too much for me. It's too much for me. Like a ghost that I can't fight, too much for me.
Oh yeah,
My
yeah,
mom
definitely.
sprinkles holy water all over my house anytime she comes to visit. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And there's your book over there. So everyone go buy the book March 26th, right? Isn't that when it's out?
March 26th. You can buy it now though. You can get it for a pre-sale. If you order it now, it'll come to your house on March 26th. So go buy it now. I don't know when
Definitely.
this is airing, but yeah. It
Definitely. All right, thank you. It was really fun talking to you. Thank you.
was great talking to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.